Alrighty, what's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 16 of the High Input Games podcast. I am one of your hosts, Nick, aka the Wild One, and joining me, as always, Chris Kodiak and DJ Mike. Today, we've got some good stories for you. Today's date is December 23rd, and it's almost Christmas. But before we get to that, a little housekeeping. If you'd like to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/high input games, where bronze level subscribers can get the show ad free and silver level subscribers can get access to the post show. First of all, let's get into it. How have you guys been? Christmas is just around the corner. Let's get some of this off of our chest. You ready?
Yeah, we're here. I mean, it's been a busy week.
Is all your shopping done, guys? You're all complete?
Hey, the happy holidays. Yes. Happy holidays to you guys, and we're all healthy, and we're here, and we got our gifts.
Happy Hanukkah, Michael.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Happy Hanukkah, Michael.
And Nick's totally everybody around the world.
And to Nick, you happy whatever you guys do over across the pond. What do you guys celebrate over there?
Christmas, Chris.
Whatever we want.
I wasn't sure if they let you do that under the king's rule. I wasn't sure he was cool with that.
He's very cool with that. So cool with the fact that we broke away.
Damn. Away. Yeah, Christmas is. We're about ready for shopping. Shopping's been done. We're doing the dinner thing, so hopefully we got this all figured out.
Excellent. And I did pick up on that. I just totally. At first it was like, oh wait, yeah, Mike doesn't, but I was already running.
I do though. I grew up in a house that was divided. I grew up in a house that was Christian and Jewish, so I celebrated both.
Perfect. Too literal.
Yeah. So Christmas is on the corner. It's exciting. It's tons of times to play games. What kind of games you guys been playing? I mean, obviously that's. I'm not just. You haven't just been playing Cyberpunk.
You know, like a little Watch Dogs, some Yakuza.
Look, exactly.
Oh, hey, but Cyberpunk. I've played a little Cyberpunk. Have you? Did you guys play it?
A little.
Just about 100 hours.
I honestly wasn't sure if you'd even heard of it.
How many hours are you at right now, Nick? Do you know?
Where were we at before when we were talking? Probably around 34, wasn't it?
Yeah. I checked my log. Even with the restart at 7 hours, I ended up. I'm still clocked at about 14, so I'm sitting around 21.
I estimate probably somewhere around 45 right now, but I'm absolutely smashing my way through every side quest and every activity before progressing with the story, just soaking up everything I can inside of Night City before I move forward.
After 8 solid years of waiting and hoping for this game.
Yeah, no doubt. Right, so we're going to break this game down. We know that Mike started on the Corpo life path. For people who don't know about Cyberpunk 2077, it's a cyberpunk game set in Night City, which is like a futuristic city set in California. And you can start 3 unique life paths in the game. So one is the street kid, one is the nomad, and one is the Corpo path. Now, I myself did the street kid. The Kodiak did the Nomad, and then you got DJ Mike doing the Corpo. I'll start with me because I just know what I did straight from the jump. This is going to get into spoiler territory. So if you haven't played Cyberpunk and you're not interested in hearing some of the things we're about to say, turn away now, come back later, come check this out. But what we're about to say is incredible. For me, the game starts out, we're in Jackie Wells, Mama Wells' bar. And my character's just had his nose broken. He resets his nose, and he has a conversation with the bartender about how the bartender's in debt. Goes upstairs to talk to the guy who the bartender's in debt with. From there, conversations in this game really open up. And I think for me, that was the moment when I realized that, this might not be a true next-gen game, but what we were seeing in the game I remember, Chris, you were telling me a little bit earlier this week, the animations and the conversations were next level. You're sitting opposite somebody, you believe the things they're saying to you. You're invested in, let's say I'm having a conversation with Kirk, his name was, and he's reading a magazine about stealing a car. And he says, I got a job for you, kid. And he turns the book around and he throws it across the table. And you have the opportunity to look at the book, ignore the book, continue with the conversation, maybe talk to this large gentleman who's decided to take a seat next to you so you can't get up. The immersion was just so world building that I just believe the cutscenes have really become, next gen as far as that's concerned. No, you don't think so?
I would agree. I mean, it doesn't break away from the gameplay. So, and it's amazing to me that it just goes seamlessly in all of those scenes. It doesn't take you out of it. You feel like you go from playing to yourself going into this cutscene and then just right back to playing. It's done very, very well.
Yeah, 100%. Including when I was saying when after he hands you the book, at least in the intro, and he says, "Do you want this job?" and your character says, "Yeah, I'll take that job." He then reaches down into a backpack, pulls a duffel bag onto the table, opens it up, pulls out this key generator, which will allow you to enter the car that you're trying to steal. And just the fact that most video games would skip over all that and just go straight to you stand up and you've received a key generator, and that would pop up in the bottom corner, and now you would go into your inventory and look up what you had just received. It was just, for me, I felt so invested in the world whenever I spoke to somebody in the game. Whenever somebody handed me something in the game, it felt like there was weight to the item. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. One thing that I got to say about the game is like I know we mentioned earlier this week, the animations when you're just watching a character. There's a character named there's a fixer that gives you some missions, and he's sitting in a limousine, and you can see him. He's a larger guy sitting in the back of the limo, and you can see him kind of adjusting his shirt and squatting around, and the creaks in the leather of the limousine are moving back and forth. All of those attentions to detail is where I think this game shines, especially, and I know we've discussed it before, when you're on the rails, when you're playing the game as the game intended. If you're looking for a free roaming sandbox experience, this game is going to disappoint you. Not terribly. I mean, it's not awful. But if you're expecting something outside or greater than or even equal to GTA 5, it's not that. I would say it does outshine games like Fallout in the open world experience. However, it does not exceed the expectations set by GTA 5.
Could I interject? I just had a little bit of an epiphany. Would you compare this game to games like Fallout 5? Not Fallout 5, sorry. Far Cry 5? That necessarily didn't have a great driving mechanic, that were open world, that had side missions that pulled you away from the main story.
I would argue that this game shits on Far Cry 5. Shits all over it.
No, it's absolutely. But Far Cry 5, the way that Far Cry 5 was made, right? People didn't compare Far Cry 5 to Grand Theft Auto. They just said we're in open world America, and the missions seem spread out.
And it is an open world game.
Cyberpunk.
It is an open world game.
And the
Far
driving
Cry 5.
mechanics never blew you away in Far Cry. It was just something you did to get from A to B. And I'm starting to see maybe there are more parallels to see between the way that game was designed. That was a first-person game with conversation threads.
A lot of our gripes with the initial reactions to Cyberpunk stemmed from our expectations on how it would compare to a game like GTA 5, because a lot of us intended to be able to live in this world as if we were organically living within this world, and that's not something that we should have expected on this game, because that's not the game they were presenting. It's not even the game they marketed. If you go back and look at
it definitely is. I think the marketing was confusing.
No,
the marketing for this game was definitely a little
I don't think they marketed the game as the greatest game since sliced bread. I think they allowed the reception of this game to get to the point where everybody thought it was going to be.
I agree.
The second coming of Witcher 3 and GTA. And
I agree, but I also do believe that the marketing just didn't seem clear enough that this was going to be a Fallout-esque game. It felt like everything building up with their trailers and their Nightwires. You tell me those Nightwire previews didn't feel similar to those "Welcome to Grand Theft Auto Online" trailers, where you can do this, and that.
They never lied. Nothing they said was a lie. Everything they said was accurate. I mean,
but they couldn't imagine that.
Other than the game was ready for PlayStation 4.
That's another story. But I can't imagine that they believed that the game they had was Grand Theft Auto 6. Can you?
No.
There's no way they were playing that going, this is not... They had to have known that the reception would be that it wasn't Grand Theft Auto 6 or Witcher 4, esque.
Now listen, I've been giving Grand Theft Auto 6 quite a lot of thought, because today I watched that did you see the gameplay trailer for the gameplay breakdown for the new heist? One of us should
Yeah.
try to pull that up while we can.
Yeah, yeah.
But that,
I saw that.
that breakdown is incredible. The way that he starts to talk about how you can pick your path and choose which decisions you want to go down, and if you want to switch halfway. And again, guys, we're talking about Grand Theft Auto here, but I felt like this is an honorable mention. It's such a fantastic heist update. This is a continuation of um, um, of the heists in general. First heist being the bank heist, second heist being the Doomsday heist, which me and the Kodiak smashed out the park. The third heist being the Diamond Casino heist, and which we haven't done yet, Chris, which is the the casino heist, which we never really looked into
Yeah,
at
we
the
were
time.
supposed to do that with James.
And then this one, absolutely. And then this one has now shifted to the triumphant almost finale, they said. And like, there's what I'm trying to get you to bring up, Chris, if you can find it, is the sit down with the director who wrote the actual, the DLC. And I just wanted to show everybody what I'm talking about here. He's talking about how the club, I mean, talk about tapping into, pop culture. They're talking about how, remember the fire festivals that were happening and those big music festivals? It seems
I
like
saw
on
the
this
trailer. It's pretty good.
so good. So
This is the full breakdown right here. I have it pulled up now. You know, and this is the one with the trailer. 11 minutes.
Okay, yeah, you don't have
What
to
is
play
up,
it all. You
critics?
can skip
So
through
today,
it.
December 9th,
Just show
2020,
people some of
Rockstar
the
has
bits in
released
it.
yet
They're talking
another
about
trailer.
how they're yeah, and you can mute the trailer because
I did.
we're basically covering all the information. They talk about how they have a watchtower. They're talking about how the watchtowers lead you to believe that there are more things to find in the island because it's not just a musical paradise, and how now you can get bolt cutters. You can get to a certain area and unlock a part of the map, which unlocks a helicopter. And without the helicopter, with the helicopter, you can enter the map a different way. You can skydive into the map. You can come into the map via submarine. You can use all these different modes of transportation. They really open this up. And for the first time ever, this is a DLC that is playable single player. The first time that you've been able to fire up your console and just do this on your own. You don't need to wait for 12 hours for your friends to get off work and now you're all bundled together trying to wait for the loading screens. Like, no, you want to do this on your own? Go ahead and do it all on your own. I absolutely love that about this DLC. Now, how this ties into Cyberpunk is me just saying that this game took a long time to evolve, Chris. You recall waiting for the heist for absolutely forever. We waited and we waited and we waited, and it took what felt like years before we finally got the heist. I don't believe heists were released until the PlayStation 4.
Years.
And then we were like, oh, now it's time. And it's a culmination of all this time and effort. So I don't want to write Cyberpunk off just because they had a rough launch on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and the One X, because this game could be something huge in a couple of years. I'm assuming that their online is going to be something huge. They must have some things planned, but the unfortunate thing that's surrounding Cyberpunk right now is that the negative attention that is surrounding the PlayStation and the Xbox versions, that I feel is going to delay the next gen versions. You know what I'm saying? So you've got a lot of cleanup to do before you can start telling people, hey, the next gen versions are coming. Because if you told me tomorrow that the next gen versions was coming before my current gen version was working, I would be pretty upset.
That's a solid
Yeah,
point.
I don't. It is, and you have to fault them on it because unfortunately, not everybody can get their hands on next gen hardware, and so
Right.
unfortunately, 80% of the population only has
And
a
again,
PlayStation
this
4
isn't
and
falling
Xbox
in,
One.
this isn't falling into obviously our reviews. This is just we've seen what's happened.
Not at all.
For the last couple of weeks. You can't ignore it. It has to be addressed. Tying back to the gameplay. Let's go straight to you, Mike. I haven't heard about the intro, at least, to the Corpo path. Was it intriguing?
Yeah, it was good. I'm not rich, So let's take
Right.
that off the table right now.
I
You pretty
think
much,
they even brought. I think they even put that to public attention. They were like, "Listen, by the
Yeah.
time you get to a certain point, we'll all link up together anyway."
for sure. So I start off in a bathroom, and I'm just looking at myself in the mirror, and I'm talking to Jackie on the phone. Think I don't know how I met him. Honestly, I was
Oh,
I was looking
yeah.
through. I was just looking through trying to remember how. I think I just know him from way back, if I remember correctly. I wish I knew that, but I don't remember that part of it. It just starts out with you looking in the bathroom and talking to him, and so you
Which
start
is
out and
actually
you
really
need.
interesting. I like that.
Well, that's why hearing you talk about being in the bar kind
Yeah.
of piqued my interest because I was wondering how that would play in. And so I have to go to my boss to talk to him, and he wants me to take this shard that's got some really sensitive data on it to sell out. Is it Abernathy? I think it is. I think that's her name. Is that the lady that's the lady that comes in that first quest, right?
I'm
Ours are
assuming we all
different.
have totally different.
Is
quests,
it?
right?
Okay, so
Let me check this out for you, right? When
I'm
I
working
met
for a
Jackie
guy named
Wells,
Jenkins. I don't know if his name has come up at all in
Not
in
for
not
any
me.
of
at all.
your.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
at all. So when I started my life path, I jump into a car and Jackie Wells puts a gun to my head and he starts trying to get me to get out the car because he's trying to rob the same car I'm trying to rob. Then the cops come and a businessman comes and says, "Dump these two in the river. I don't have time for these two." And he leaves. Well, funny enough, Jackie and I thought this was the nicest little touch. We know the cop from when we were all kids. We all grew up in that like Hayton town or whatever it's called. And so he says, why do you think he didn't arrest us? Or why do you think they didn't kill us? And V, the main character, says, well, it's because we all grew up together. And Jackie's like, oh, you know what? From now on, we're all going to be friends. I'm sure, Mike, you got a montage or you're going to get a montage.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
yeah,
way
yeah.
past that.
Yeah. Of us like
Yeah.
being friends and like going on jobs together and like
So
doing all,
good.
yeah, it was
good.
really good.
Now,
That was pretty
originally,
entertaining.
Chris had said to me, he said, do you think that might have been content that was cut from the game? And I said, I disagree completely. What they did there was show you that everybody needs to feel like their character is in the city, is living in the city. And when they showed you that montage, by the time it was done, you were like, that's my boy. I don't know if you had the same kind of montage I have. Like we're dancing in a club, we're at a strippers party, we're
doing jobs
people
together and heists.
he's
and
bringing
like
he's bringing
guns.
bags of money and dropping it on the table and high fiving gang members. Like that montage made me feel like, oh yeah, these guys are working together. They're running Night City. They're up and coming.
So mine started out. So I'm in a big corporate office headquarters, and I get called in by my boss Jenkins. Okay,
Right.
and there's this lady named Abernathy that like took the #1 job or whatever. She's a bitch, and that's how your boss feels about her, and that's how you feel about her, and whatever. And he gives you this data shard that has all of this information and wants you to blackmail her. So you don't want to. So you go and meet Jackie, and you're like, I don't think I could do this. Like, this is kind of a big risk. And then these guys come up and they steal the shard from you, and then like you're like drunk or something, or they like hit you and knock you down on the ground. And then Jackie's like, you know what, man, forget about all that, and takes you and you go into your montage, and
Right.
you're no longer a corporate, like you don't work for them anymore. And then it comes in to where you start doing the first mission with him, the first mission.
Wow, that's very
And obviously,
different.
you guys are already in Night City. But did you have any access to any AVs, any aerial vehicles from the intro of the game? Nothing like that.
No, the first, yes. Okay, so yes, I guess I did. The first mission, your boss is like, take my car or whatever, or my
and it's
flying
automated,
vehicle,
right?
whatever the hell it is. Yeah, but all you do is you just get in and it takes you to where you are. You get out, and that's it.
Well, that's all they are in the game anyway. They're not meant to be used for.
Yeah, but like I don't have access to them any more than that.
I know. I just think I wonder if Chris will even get to grace something like that. I'm sure we will because they're in the game. But
It was
seeing
pretty
how he
cool to
got
fly through the top of Night City like that, and you're like looking at all the
Oh, I
billboards
bet.
from above the clouds.
I
and
thought about that because
it was really neat.
when I talked to Chris earlier in the week, I said, "Man, I'm having a hard time getting a lay of the land here, my dude." And like, if you'd
Yeah.
flown over it, you'd kind of at least got this like. And Chris, he drove into the town, so he's got this out. I'm in it. I'm like, well, so which way do I go? I don't know
Yeah,
where I'm going and where.
I told Nick, Mike, that the start of my storyline was that I was a smuggler, and I had broken away from my nomad tribe and met a guy who was trying to smuggle some goods into Night City, and it was Jackie Wells, and we meet, and Jackie's hiring me to help him smuggle some shit into Night City. So we end up smuggling it. We end up bribing the immigration officer who calls my bluff, and they chase us down. We shoot the guys down. We hide out in a garage, and Jackie's like, look, like the buyer, fuck that guy. Let's see what's in this trunk. And we open it up, and it's a live biological iguana, which I guess has like been extinct for many years, but it's still alive. They have like a live iguana. So they've been
That's
sneaking it
nice.
in. So where he's like, we could probably sell this to someone. Like, I know you probably don't got a place to stay in Night City. Like, why don't me and you get a place? And you end up shacking up with Jackie, and the montage starts. So you start from the Badlands and move your way into Night City, which is a really nice touch. However, I gotta say, it only being 15 minutes in the Badlands. Like you start in a mechanic shop, you meet this like dusty sheriff that's like all pissed off you haven't let him know that you know we're in town. And you don't really get a lay of the Badlands at all. And then you go straight into Night City. So I would have probably preferred, in the same sense of GTA, where you start off in Vice City and you make your way
Like
out.
for Trevor.
And you make your way
okay.
up to the trailer parks to see Trevor. You're like, wow, this is so much different than being in the city. Like with Nick and your storyline, where you've not even seen the Badlands. And then you get out of the city and you're like, holy shit.
You're making
like,
the comparisons, though.
yeah.
We keep going back to No, I'm saying we pull these things in and we're like, we wish that there was a little more of this and a little more of that.
I'm
And
just talking about the difference in our story starts, right? Like I started as a nomad wanting to start in the Badlands and make my way into Night City. However, what I got was rather a very quick spoiler-esque impression of the Badlands and then straight into Night City. And
well, the problem is Jackie is our pivot, right, for our storyline. So that
What was your
it has to go there.
First mission was it correlated together? So like, did you go to the place and eat the noodles with Jackie? That was the first mission, right?
Yes.
No.
That was it. As soon as you come down those, soon after you did your montage, you throw your bag on the table at the end in your apartment.
And then you go outside.
We're all the same from there on.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. You know, which is great. I love that they did.
Right, because Chris said that he had the cop too. You had the cop that was there that
Yeah.
All right.
You know.
Yeah, so the only difference is literally we all got stopped by that cop, but like I got pulled over by a maelstrom with a gold face, and Chris didn't get that. He was doing something else at that point. So it all
I had an
links
old
up.
dusty sheriff.
Everything. So the start of the link up is literally the
That
car
beginning.
ride that leads you to that police officer. So at some point, like you guys will do something in your car ride might be different to mine, but as we get to that police, and it was a woman, right, on the left hand side, and Jackie talked her sweet. I got a girlfriend. She's gonna do this. Literally, I would say that was the one that linked us all together, and from there on out, we were on the same path. I mean, I do like that we have our individual responses, so I can be street kid and be like, listen. I've been working with the Marxism Maelstroms my whole life, blah, 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 where I'm sure you...
I have corpo responses that come up. When people bring things up that are related to corpo, I'm able to kind of go off of that and put my experience as a corpo into it. Yeah.
I love that. And Chris, same with you, right? You can probably connect a little better with Pan Am because
Pan Am and me are doing pretty well right now. That's an interesting. I gotta say the love interest side of this game has fallen much shorter than I would have expected. I expected this game to have much more Witcher-esque vibes, where being CD Projekt Red, they know how to write.
Well, we know you can romance Judy and
Sure.
Pan Am.
You can romance them, but in a sense that
That's the same as it'll be the same as The Witcher.
yeah, but it definitely makes
Which
it.
one's Judy?
Judy's the one with the shaved head. The one.
And the purple.
She's
I don't
promo.
think
the
I-
Net Runner. Where are
Oh,
you at?
the one you
definitely
meet,
have,
the one you
yeah.
meet where you do the. She's the one that
Brain
first puts
dance.
you in the.
Yeah.
Yes.
The BD.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, you can romance her supposedly. Now I'm not sure if you can do that before or after the Plaza mission. You just did the Kopeki Plaza.
That would
mission,
work
right?
for me.
Oh, bro, it's way after. Judy is in it for like the whole game.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
No, I'm probably.
I
She's
know
been
you
hitting
did the
me up.
You did the.
I'm
Mike-
about 10 hours. No, I can't be 10 hours into it.
You did. Mike just did the Kopeki Plaza mission, Nick.
No, I didn't. No,
Yeah, you
I
did.
did the mission after that.
Oh, okay.
So you fell down.
And I did the mama. I did
Did you meet
where
up
you
with
go to his
Takimura?
funeral.
With Takimura at the diner.
Yes, at the diner. Yep,
Now
I did
he's
that.
given you 2 branches, one to the afterlife and one to go meet up.
Yep.
with
Yep,
Judy.
I have not done his next ones because I started doing a bunch of the side missions, like the fighting ones and the Delamain missions, which are
he'll
super
go-
fucking broken. Something's wrong with
I
those
just
missions.
finished the Delamain missions, all 7
Dude,
cars.
so the 5 times that I've tried to do it so far now, the car won't take any damage, and then the mission will just he'll suddenly disappear, and then Delamain will call me again and say, "Hey, one of my cars is in the area," and I just have to. I think my save might be broken. I don't know.
Yeah, there's some issues with the Delamain side quest. They've been talking about that online, that the Delamain missions are broken right now, so I kind of avoided those. But the mains have been pretty fucking good. I mean, for all the hate this
The
game
mains
is
are
getting,
great.
I've got no
The storytelling
gripe,
in
man.
this game is fantastic. Like
10
it's
out of
not,
10.
but like I no, go ahead, Nick.
Other than the blue baseball bats, blue stars, the majority of the blue question marks, which is just Regina hitting you up in the left-hand corners, saying, "Hey, I got a quick mission for you to do." The yellow missions have weight in them, my dudes. Like how we are like getting a call from like Nyx, and then Nyx is like, "Yo, you want to come do a mission for me?" And it's like, "Yeah, I'll do a mission for you." And then he's like, "Well, meet me in the afterlife." And you're like, "Okay, fuck, I've been to the afterlife like 6 times. Like, where could you possibly be?" And you go into this other room, and there's Nyx, and he's like, "Yo, I got a job for you." Da 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 da. Now I go do this job for him. I come back, I give him this BD footage, brain dance footage for everyone who's not playing it yet. And they're like, he's like, "Oh, dude, I've been waiting for this all day long." Now I'm super intellect. So I get this option at the bottom that I was actually 1 away from. So you can pause the game, boost your intellect. And you're like, "Yo, we both know that this BD is worth way more than what you're offering me for it." And he's like, "Yo, nobody ever does this for me." But then he's like, "But for you, 20,000 or 16,000 more." I was like, "Oh, what? 16,000 just for being that much smarter?" So, and that was from a side quest. And now Nyx is in the afterlife, and I've seen him in person, and he's been like, "Oh, I got to get something for you," and he's gone over here, and he's got something up for me. Like Nyx is in my mind now, and he was just a side character that came up on a telephone call, like, "Hey, you want to come work for me?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll come check this dude out." Regina was the same. The same thing with all the cyberpsychosis people. There's 17 of them in town. I just fought a guy with cyberpsychosis who was wearing a robot uniform, and he was working in construction, and the implants that he had were military implants, and they were put in, and you can't control military implants without a certain chip in your head. So his implants went crazy, and he went crazy, and they couldn't stop him, and it was a great little thing inside of this massive game. Now, I do understand the urgency of the story. So again, spoilers, you have a chip in your head that is killing you. And so the urgency of the story to get it done is quite high. Though you can't be running to Okaka, run into all these other people and being like, "Yo, what missions you got for me?" The fact that you're dying blows my mind, that they have like no
You kind of forget playing the game that you're dying until somebody brings it up, or you go back to the story mission. Yeah, it's weird.
100%. It's not.
You're like, "Oh shit, I am
does-
dying."
He does have those moments where you can finish a side quest, and he's like, "I'm glitching out. I'm
Those
glitching out."
moments are not just moments; those are way too often, in my opinion. I think that should
Really,
not-
I love him.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's just the same thing. I think I'm gonna puke, and he like,
Yeah, because
that's
he's
just.
dying.
uh,
And I think it was like their touch of Red Dead, because when Arthur Morgan gets the TB, he's
Spoiler alert.
coughing. bro, welcome to 3 years later, everybody.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
you're Red Dead. And what I'm saying is you're basically getting it's their version of that, and I dig it. I love it. I like it. I think that what we're going through is awesome. I think the side quests give you that comic relief, a la the Barry mission, and a lot of the side missions actually. Like you said, when you read the shards and you realize they're like, yo, the mechanic has been putting fake parts in our cars.
Right.
Nah, yeah, the third engine blew up this month. And he's like, screw this guy, we're going back and we're robbing him. And then you get there and they're robbing the guy, and you're like, oh, that was kind of cool. You know, and that's nothing to do with the game. A real side quest in that game, like I said, is Nyx or is this random character who's like, yo, come to wherever, Glendale.
Nick,
it up with Glenn.
I gotta say, brother, the reason this game opened up to me because I did the mains, I did the sides that popped up, and Mike, I'm assuming you're playing the game the same way I did when I first opened the game up. Nick's the one who turned it on to me to show me that in the game there's all these different symbols on the map that are actual full-length side quests that don't pop up on your journal or your quest log or anything, that you have to actually physically drive to and just organically stumble upon. I don't know. Have you been doing any of those?
Yeah, the like question marks.
Yeah, the question marks.
Yeah, of course. The same. You get the same thing in GTA. You get random question marks all around that you got to go.
Yeah, I didn't do any of those for like the first like 6
Really?
hours I played the game. No, I was just like,
oh, they like open up parts of the map and stuff
yeah,
too.
well, I did some certain side missions that they like obviously plugged. They forced me
The
into
actual side missions,
the
like
actual
Nyx
ones.
mission.
Yeah, the ones that pop up on your quest log. But I was not doing these like random things where you drive around and you pop in on these guys, and those side quests are arguably written quite almost on par with the main missions. It is again, the writing in this game is the shining star.
It for sure is. I do miss a lot of the organic interactions that I kind of expected from the city.
Yeah, sure. But did you get that in Witcher 3?
I was about to say, you took the words out my mouth.
You know,
like,
you
that's
didn't get
not
that
the
in
game
Witcher
they were.
3.
I think they were trying to make.
You ran into a village in The Witcher 3, and they were just standing there mixing a pot of stew and
yeah, I guess you're right.
You know, they didn't give a damn about
but,
that. They wrote
but
one
the
of the
Witcher,
most compelling
the Witcher
stories
3 isn't a
ever
live city like New York City. You know,
sure.
I mean, this is something that I think garners more attention in that game. I think it's something they should work on actually with patches.
Yeah.
I think this is something that surrounds this game. It's like, this game is great, but this game is really good, but
it's like running around and seeing the same characters keep popping up all over the like, and then some character models look fantastic and have so much like a big giant fat guy walking around without his shirt around
gold
the city.
Jacket,
looks beautiful, and then the character next to him looks like, I'm like, what the who the fuck did this character?
I totally can understand.
It is very
that.
inconsistent of a game, man.
It's just odd. And you can just see where the corners were cut because there wasn't enough time.
I just like that, like Chris said, right? And this is minor spoiler, but there's a side mission where you meet this Buddha, right? This Buddhist like monk, and he's not really a Buddhist monk because they've got their own religion in Night City, and he's like, got all these implants in his face, and he's like, look, I can't practice at the church anymore because Maelstrom kidnapped me, and they put all these implants in my face. Maelstrom being one of the gangs in the Night City that is really heavy on implants. So he said, look, they put all these implants in my face. I can't return to the church. They've kidnapped my brother. They're going to do the same to him. Please go free him, but don't hurt anybody. Now, I did the mission twice. The first time I ran through the mission, I killed everybody in there. I walked up to his brother. His brother said, you have upset me. You've killed too many people. My life wasn't worth all these people's lives. Leave me in be. I don't want to talk to you anymore. I couldn't even get him to go see his brother. I replayed the mission from scratch, went in there, stealthed the whole mission up, realizing that whenever it says do this optionally, it actually probably means be stealth. Stealth the whole mission up, and he was like, oh, thank you so much. Who sent you? Oh, my brother. Where is he? I'll get to him soon. I left. I came back. The brothers were together at that location later on, and I was like, oh, dude, this was a side quest that will not be repeated. I will not go to the south of the map and find another monk who's like, oh, my brother,
right.
I've got implants. I absolutely love that in that moment, I was like, hold on a second. So this might not be story level quality, but every one of these yellow question marks harbors one of these experiences. I gotta check them out.
That's what I think is the best part about this game, man, is that they took the care to write a story like these brothers, like this Buddhist monk that is sitting there wanting you to go rescue his brother. That kind of shit, you don't get that in most games, man. Most games are fetch quests. Most games are, I need a frying pan to go get it.
Well,
that's not what this game is. You know?
I think that's what kind of upsets me the most, is that there are so many things that are so good about this game. And then there's something, like, every time there's something that just makes me go, what the fuck?
Here we go with that conversation. It's a wide game.
It is.
But not a deep game. That's what I'm saying. Plenty of things to do, not enough to do each category.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't agree with that at all. I gotta say, I don't. While I do think the game is wide, I think the game is plenty deep. I think there's certain parts of the game that are not, right? And where if you stay, again, on the rails of the game, when a mission is told, you go do that mission, and in those shops and in those basements and in those dark alleyways and marketplaces they send you in, these games are alive. These areas are alive. But if you go off the quest and you think, hey, I'm going to go now run up to this random store and go find myself something to wear, yeah, it's going to feel a little dead. And that is unfortunate. That is something that I am upset with. However, the level of hate that CD Projekt Red is receiving for this game is completely unwarranted, in my opinion, other than what they did to, base console users.
Dude, but that's a very, very large population of the planet right now.
They got me, dude.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
If everyone could get a console or a 3060 or a 3080, I mean, nobody would be complaining.
But at least Chris is willing to separate the line in the sand and say, look, I bought the game, I was burned, but they let me return it.
Yeah, but you bought it twice.
Even if
got the money back,
even if I couldn't have returned it, and
he's got enough merit to say it's good on PC. It's good on Stadia.
For $110, right? I would have played this game and been satisfied, which is saying something, right? Saying something, not fucking living pissed, right? I'm not sitting here. I'm not going, man, fuck them. They got me for $110. I'm satisfied at $110, even without the $60 return. And for those of you watching, I bought it on PS4. It ran like shit. I played for 7 hours. I tried. It didn't play as shit as some of the clips I'm seeing, but it played shit enough to where I said, this is just not an enjoyable experience. Turned it off. Found out Stadia, it runs great. Ended up buying it on Stadia for $50. And it runs fantastic on my PC on Stadia. If you guys have any, go to stadia.com, download the game. You don't even need a good gaming rig. You can fucking stream it on a good internet connection. It's amazing.
And from what I understand, PS4 is actually the biggest culprit. Xbox One doesn't have nearly as many problems.
Yeah, but
as far as I understood.
That's what I've heard. But I do got to say that even on PS4, it wasn't terrible, but not great. But if the game was
I bet it felt beta-ish, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it did. It definitely did. That was it, where you were in this like early release, because we've done a lot of early access gaming, and it felt like an early access game, which I just paid
all
$60
the love and attention was dumped into the PC version.
Yeah, and then you're sitting here talking to me about 90 frames per second ray trace, and I'm sitting here dealing with this. I was like, man, the fuck.
CD Projekt Red is a PC first gaming company,
which is fine.
Yeah. They started. That's how they started.
Advertise yourself as such. That's okay. I'm not griping towards a PC.
They admitted so,
game.
Didn't they? They said, "Look, man, if we should have just done this as a PC release." Right. And it's so unfortunate that a game that is as good as this is surrounded by such a conversation.
Well, and now they're talking about problems inside during the process, and why employees asking, why are you lying to people and telling them they're done? And
why did you say in January that it was
finished? Yeah,
ooh, yeah, no, I agree.
A lot of pressure.
Again, 6 to 8 months more in the can would have done this thing a heck of a lot of good. I mean, I believe that, and of course, this is just complete hindsight, but if they had known that this is what they were walking into, this debacle, they would never.
Bro, they played it and made it gold.
Why would you play that? Why would you play that on the base consoles and go, "Yep, we're sending this. It's good. Fuck it."
What if they
I-
didn't?
listen,
What if they didn't?
I believe it
They
all
must
comes
have.
down. We've talked about this
They
before.
had to
I
have,
believe
but-
it all comes down to the marketing. Once you've said it's out there on PS4 and you've
No,
spent
man.
the money,
Dude, I
it's
don't give a
millions,
shit. I don't-
Arguably,
then you
millions
come out and
of
say it's going to come out on PC and Series X and PS5,
I-
but sorry,
Yeah,
Xbox One and PS4, you're not
I'm
going
in
to get it.
construction, bro. I'm in construction. If I tell a homeowner, I tell a commercial resident, we're going to have your home done on January 15th. And then January 15th comes around and she doesn't have her fucking kitchen sink in and her bathroom is still sitting with no tile on the floor. I'm not going to be like, well, it's January 15th. This is what you get. Sorry. I'd be like, dude, I didn't hit my mark. January 15th ain't going to happen. We're going to have to need a little more time to finish the job. And that's what you do. You don't just give out an unfinished product and say, pay me. Like, that's
hundreds
nuts.
of billions of dollars of
It's
you
just, we can
marketing
see what
is
happens
such
when you don't
beast.
do that, right? They're dealing with it right now. They're dealing with the
yeah,
fallout.
but obviously
of saying,
this
"Fuck it."
is obviously what we're saying is once the marketing ball has been released, there's no stopping something like this. It's like you can't. We did it with Avengers, right? We talked about how 5GUM and the Avengers licensing was all tied together. Like there was no stopping that train once that deal was made. This is the same with Cyberpunk. Like once they had those Keanu Reeves deal and all these ads and things rolling out, like I don't believe. I mean, they could have.
Yeah,
done
but
it.
having all that doesn't mean you have to put out a game that's
I agree.
not
I agree.
You
You
bite
could've
your
still-
lip and
You could have
do
bumped
the right
another
thing.
yellow. You could have
Yeah.
bumped another yellow block up onto Twitter like they've been doing.
I mean,
and
sure,
said,
they would have
"This
talked
thing
shit. We all would have talked
Yeah.
shit. We would have
Yeah,
been
for
sitting
a
here
week.
right now
all
going,
of
week.
it.
fuck,
Months later,
one
we would've
week.
been like,
We
wow.
would talk shit for 1 week, and then we'd have been on to the next whatever
Yep.
else.
But now they are
It's-
the talk of the town of the pieces of shit that they are for what they've done.
I do agree, and like
Sucks.
Insider analysts have said they believe that even when The Witcher 4 gets announced, you're now going to go.
I'll wait.
I'll just wait.
Mhm.
I'll wait. I'm gonna wait for this one.
Which
I'm not
is-
sure.
And I
can't-
won't. And neither will you. We'll buy it day fucking one, and you goddamn know we will.
Give me The Witcher now.
You know we're buying
I
it
don't
day
even care if
one.
it's first person and it's in Night City. Just give me The Witcher.
I don't give a shit, man. You know, I know we will.
You gotta get fired up for like the DLC for Cyberpunk. Like this thing arguably is supposed to go on for like 2 years. So like they've got DLC plan that they can't announce yet because the game's still broken. They're like, yo, we got DLC and next gen versions coming, and PlayStation users like, what?
Dude, you know, Nick, before the podcast started, I was telling you that I've been playing a little bit I bought Watch Dogs on the Series X because I wanted a next gen game to play, you know. And going from I meant on the new console, something that would
Yeah,
take
yeah.
advantage of the power of it.
No, I'm down.
and,
Yeah, totally.
There is a certain polish that I'm hoping that we see over the next 6 months. You know, when I jump out and I walk around London, I took a video for you guys that I haven't sent to you yet because it's so large. It's in my OneDrive right now of me like running around, driving around in the city at night during the rain with the puddles on the. I mean, it is incredible how it's beautiful. It really is. Like it blows me away that the Series X can even do what it's doing for me on that. And there's a certain polish that I see in certain parts of Cyberpunk that other parts don't necessarily have, and I could see
Yeah,
where
man.
hopefully they'll work on it. You know, I'm just.
Do you feel like you're the only guy in the city, or you feel like the city's alive?
kind of feel like I'm the only guy really doing anything.
Ah, darn it, that's how it always is. Grand Theft Auto, take your sweet time, baby. We're not ready. You're not ready.
I mean, I do. I just don't feel like anybody's really doing anything. Like
Yeah.
I see guys like
I
walk.
get it.
I see a guy like walk this way, and then he turns around and walks this way.
Oh
And I'm
no.
like, what
Dude,
the
Red
fuck
Dead,
are you?
You guys gotta get back on that Red Dead.
Do you
It
remember
will-
that blog post from
Red
that
Dead
guy
is
who
blo-
followed
but-
those NPCs on Red Dead all day? And they had a track that they did where like they went to the store in Valentine, then they went out to the water well and they got a pail of water, and then they walked it back to their house, went in and cooked their family dinner, and he was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
full-
Is there a
Application.
possibility that CD Projekt Red was sitting there going, "How the fuck does Rockstar do this?
Yeah.
Like,
Been
how
saying
do
that.
they do
Been
this?
saying that, yes.
Like, they had to have been sitting there
they
going,
bit off more than
I
they
don't
could chew. They were like-
understand.
I
They were
really
like, wait, how? We thought that player AI was something that just clicked. I've been saying the opposite. I bet Rockstar was sitting there like, they're gonna do what?
yeah.
They're gonna make an entire city? They've never even made a game like this. They're gonna have cars and traffic and cops and open. Have they? And it's first person. Like, they took on such a momentous.
I do feel
challenge.
like it's very easy to get away from the police.
There's
It's
no
bizarre.
chase. There's no chase at all.
nothing. There's nothing.
won't
I
chase
just
you.
run away. I
Almost
just
seems
walk
like
away.
there's no reason to have them. Should
Yeah.
have just been a lawless city.
Mhm.
Like, fuck
Gotham.
the cops. Lawless Gotham
So,
City.
yeah.
You just cops and just no. There's
That's
Again.
honestly, we talk about interactions being our gripe. The fucking police system in this game is by far and
and
away
it's being
the largest
talked
problem.
about on every website how you can be in the middle of Pacifica in the
Yeah.
desert and you can shoot somebody, turn around, and here's a cop. Nobody was around.
How
You
come?
shoot
How
one
come?
person.
Well,
It's a
and
cop.
not only that, but the me doing something wrong is like insanely sensitive or something. Because I swear most of the time I'm not. I don't even have a gun in my hand. I just got my hands out.
Oh, dude!
and they're
they
like,
said-
and
they said-
everyone's like,
They said, dude, if there's one thing that's super realistic about Cyberpunk 2077, it's when you stand too close to a cop, you get arrested. That shit made me.
oh my
die.
god, yeah, oh, that is
Oh,
kind of
it's
funny.
so funny. You stand next to them while they're doing their cases, and they're like, "What? What are you doing here? Get him!" You're like, "What?"
Will they arrest you in the game? I've never been arrested in
No,
the game.
no. As soon as they
No,
they
just
kill you.
shoot you.
It's a shoot on sight protocol. and
What a
that's it.
piece of shit game. I love it. I love the game for
And
all of its
you
flaws.
gotta think, like,
you know?
GTA again being a different game. I hate to do the comparisons, and I won't, but I will. Like, that game was so ahead of its time with its helicopter mechanics,
Yeah.
and it's like I threw it on. I told you this earlier in the week, Chris. My son threw on GTA Online, and I was like, "Yo, pass me the controller." One, because I wanted to see how the PS4 ran after I've been playing it on PC all this time. Not great. And two, I wanted to just experience how the handling was compared to Cyberpunk. Dang, the handling was so juicy in GTA. I was like, every time you start to lose control in Cyberpunk is where they nipped it in the butt in GTA. Like, you get too swirly in Cyberpunk, and they were like, "Nah, we are not doing that."
Done.
I said the same thing when I switched over to Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs used to have the worst driving mechanics ever, and now they're much better. They're much better than they were. So now,
Yeah.
and it's easier to control. And it's kind of interesting because Watch Dogs is very techy, right? I mean, it's actually kind of an interesting comparison because hacking is one of the main parts of Watch Dogs, and
Agreed.
I'm actually starting to like the hacking more in Cyberpunk.
My favorite part of the game.
But I still, but
Crossword puzzles.
but Watch Dogs has had 3 games to work on that, and it obviously is a little more expansive than I mean, you're changing traffic things coming up, and you can control cars in this game and tell them which direction you want them to go
and
into,
you can
go and bang in traffic.
those bollards up in the middle
Yeah.
of the road.
Yep.
and
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I
you
like
can lock vehicles and play. Yeah, it's really interesting. But it's
Speaking of sweet games, and again, we're only going to bring this up briefly because I just thought of it and I sent the thing to you guys. What did you think of that Hitman 3 gameplay trailer? Was that crapping, y'all?
yeah. It looks really good.
Woo!
Really,
Yeah,
really
that's-
good.
I kind of like that, man. Like, I know we always talk about how Hitman's the same all the time, but like, yeah, man, give me some of that. Like, he's in like the Dubai Tower, and
Bro,
like,
if you go back to when they first announced the Hitman trailer, I think it's like episode 3 or 4 for us on this podcast. That was one of my most excited trailers from that conference. I think it was the PlayStation conference where they announced it. And man, I'm telling you, those environments, I've never played a game that felt more alive than Hitman. It's not open world, obviously. These are scene for scene.
yeah, they handcraft.
They
literally
handcraft.
your house, your
Yeah.
backyard,
Yeah,
and the
your-
neighbor's house, and that's it.
I still remember walking into that Met Gala in Hitman 2, and there's 700 people in there, all
Yes.
And they don't just stand there. They all, depending on what minute you are in the experience in that little scenario, they're all moving about. Someone walks out, does a speech, everyone gathers in front of the speech, hundreds of people, and it's like, dude, you put that on next gen hardware, and man, we got ourselves a fucking serious contender of a game here, man. Like
when
time.
I knew Hitman was good, this is one of the most famous missions that have been made into a Hitman game. It was, I believe, on Hitman Blood Money, but it could have been on Hitman 1, but I doubt it was probably Blood Money. But it was the mission where you went to this like island and you were at this like wine vineyard. You're walking around the wine vineyard and you're like, oh, this is cool, this is nothing special, and you go down into the basement of the wine vineyard and you're being a tour around all these big barrels, and it's just amazing that like over time you get a key card and you scan a card and a barrel moves out the way, and now you go into a secret lab that's underneath the vineyard and they're like processing these nasty chemicals in this lab, and you can dress up in these suits and you go in there and you extract it, and then you leave on the side of the island in an airplane and you leave out of the cave. You know what I mean? Just like, and you have to go up to the mansion while the guy is having his cello lesson and put the wire around the back of his neck. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, these games are so good. So
because like you said, they're handcrafted. Every single second of that experience is hand done.
Yes.
You know, like they intend you to see that. But the
mini Outer Wilds universe is almost like handcrafted, like you said. I love how in the trailer they said, if you don't want to use a weapon at all, use the environment. Like, make it look like an accident. Throw him off the balcony. I was like, bro, the best killer in the world would be like, I wasn't even here. He fell. I'm gone.
I loved about Hitman how, depending on how you play it, it is the ultimate puzzle game.
You could be like, or you could be like,
and not just those two, but 50 other ones, and that are all handcrafted because a guy in a red valet costume came by. You drag him in a bathroom, put his costume on, and now you have that path. Like, it is
and they were
so
like,
dynamic.
They were like, yo, they were like, you could poison him or make somebody else poison him.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, dude. So you find the guy who's bringing him the food, you poison it before it gets to him.
Yeah, I'm very excited. That's one of my most anticipated games so far, coming up the next couple generations here.
I totally agree. And now that's out in February, I believe, or January.
I found a video of a guy max leveling his character in Cyberpunk in 3 minutes and 15 seconds.
Is he...
How? What's he doing?
He's got the things on his arms, and he's just running around and finding the wanted people that are standing around and just taking them out instantly.
Oh,
nice. I'm gonna try that.
Just go around the whole map. Just run around and keep killing them.
That sounds like a good time.
I'm down.
Are you talking about the Mantis blades?
Yeah. I haven't gotten an option to get those yet, so.
I still got it. I'm surprised you guys don't have them yet. That blows my mind. I'm sure that they're just an option that you haven't gone to and checked out yet.
This guy is tearing these people apart, like limb from limb.
It's exactly what happened to me. I went to a Ripper Doc, went to the section, grabbed them, slipped them on, and I was good to go. Okay, so we've talked about the way the game is running. We've talked a little bit about the story. I really do enjoy the story. In case you guys wanted a little catch up on what's going on, obviously, Arasaka is a company that is making a chip. That chip allows you to download your construct onto the chip. That would be like me downloading my personality, my body, my everything about me into this shard. And then perhaps you'd be able to talk to me while I was on that shard. You could maybe plug me into a TV, or you could plug it into your head, I guess, in Cyberpunk.
Put it in a robot.
There you go. And then there's this next evolution of the shard called the relic. And the relic seems to be the ability to upload your consciousness into somebody else's consciousness. So in the game, V is technically losing his mind because Johnny Silverhand is on the construct. He is the construct.
By the way, his running through his stuff was fun.
Yeah,
I liked running through him.
Like
when they did that story.
Oh, so good. How
his gun was insanely overpowered, but
badass.
Yeah.
I said to my brother, and I said to Kodiak, I said, listen, there's no way it was believable that a an old school Johnny Boy Rocker was going to be some terrorist, and how they had that all planned out with the helicopter and Rogue and Atom Smasher and all that. I was like, dude,
Do we
this
think their
is
guns
nice.
are going to evolve into dismemberment guns later on in the game? Or is that just something specific to that mission?
I think it's specific. No, you can get Johnny's gun and his car, so
Will
that's
his
still
gun be a dismemberment gun moving throughout
Yeah.
the entire map? Yeah?
Yeah.
So
Wait, did that? I got headshots throughout that entire mission.
No, those were you shoot
Oh, I
them in
didn't
the
shoot
arm.
anybody
It blows
in
their,
anything but the head.
it blows their arm
Yeah.
off, like blows
I
their
didn't
leg
even
off.
notice that.
Yeah,
I would
That's
imagine. I'd imagine it has a mod on it that
Yeah.
is allowing that to happen.
Look at
but
you,
when
Mr.
get that-
Sharpshooter. I only shot him in the head. They only took.
I did. I swear to God, I thought it was. I thought it had something to do with the gun, but apparently I just.
It might. It might.
maybe.
I don't think
So let's talk about what we were playing it on. Chris had PS4, me and Mike on the PC. We've covered that.
You're on Stadia.
Obviously,
Chris is
he's
on
on
Stadia.
Stadia now. Yeah, you loving it?
blew me away. I've never. Obviously, I don't. I'm
Still,
not a
is
Stadia
it
player.
still?
Oh yeah, there's been zero.
It should be our tech talk.
There-
Tech talk. Stadia is
quite honestly,
absolutely
man,
the way to play.
I tell you that they're going to be the big winners from this whole fuck up from Cyberpunk. Really, I think
They already are.
people cannot
It's
get.
giving them a ton of press.
They can't get new gen consoles. They can't get new gen hardware. People with PC parts, good luck finding any PC parts. Even last gen PC parts are sold out. So even someone like me, I thought I was fucked. I'm like, I can't play it on PS4. I'm never going to find a PS5 in any reasonable amount of time. What am I going to do? I find an article that says Stadia plays it great. I'd go to stadia.com, download it, and in 4 seconds, like I literally hit play. There is no download time. There is no download these updates. It's streamed straight from Stadia. Doesn't take any. I can play it on Paige's iPad. I mean, it has no.
Have you tried? Did you try it?
Yeah, I linked it up my PS4 remote. It works
Good?
fantastic. Yeah, great, seamless. There's not a problem. There's no latency in the controller, which I had heard might be an issue with Stadia, and I didn't notice any latency whatsoever. Especially comparing it to the PS4. I mean, there's no contest. Stadia streams in 60 frames per second in 1080. I mean, if you have a 4K monitor,
You need to get it in 4K on your TV.
Yeah, I just need a Chromecast. I don't have a Chromecast, but if I
4K
Or you could run an HDMI cable from your computer all the way up to the.
Ooh, matter of fact, I actually have the hole punched already for my Ethernet cable because my Ethernet's sitting right next to my TV. I just need to run an HDMI down. I'm gonna do that tomorrow. That's awesome. Yeah. Will my remote reach from my living room to my computer?
Yeah.
It will. From while I'm sitting on my couch, you think? Okay, cool.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, that thing's pretty strong. I can go downstairs with my Xbox One and it'll still register my keys.
Ooh, shit. Okay, that's legit. Yeah, I'm gonna do that tomorrow because I'm very excited to see what it looks like in 4K because it looks beautiful in 1080. I mean, I shared it on the High Input channel on Twitch, and
But then you got
streamed it
that
just a little
frame rates are lowered, my guy.
what? Yeah, but I mean, I agree with you. I mean, but one of the only gripes I have about this game, and I know Mike's mentioned it before, quality wise, as far as I think it has to do with me watching it in 1080, and maybe not because I know Mike, you're playing it in at least 2K.
There's a
4K.
fuzziness, and I found out it's DLSS.
Is it? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, because
Yeah, DLSS. It'll muddy the look of things to tone it down to make it run better, and it's the AI that's doing it. But
okay.
for sure, if you go in between DLSS, balanced and quality and ultra or performance ultra, whatever, if you go through each of them, go to an area where there's like a floor grate or something, and if you bounce or like a floor texture in a building or something, and you'll notice that floor texture changes immensely between each of them. On performance and performance ultra, it looks awful. Like that, I can't even tell what it is. But when you go to balanced and quality, the texture's perfect. So
Nice.
I mean, it does what it can to keep it at the best frame rate.
Yeah,
That's the
that makes
point.
sense.
It's like adjusting it on the fly for you to
Mhm.
keep it up there. Yeah.
Yep. And they've said that instead of using DLSS, you can use the other two options that are there. The I don't remember what those options are, but the CAS and whatever below DLSS, and you can actually get the same effect, but you might actually get a little better performance. So
That's interesting. I know that Digital Foundry have run an article that's saying like turn the volumetric clouds down and your shadows down, and then you'll
You
be
can
able to
turn
bump things up.
all the shadows down to like medium. You really won't see much of a difference. And then you can turn RTX shadows to medium. Turn
Yeah.
RTX shadows off, and then all the other RTX stuff up.
On. Yeah.
Ray tracing, and it's fine. Yeah, there's a bunch of settings.
When Digital Foundry ran the side by sides showing you like, look, guys, when you turn the volumetric clouds down, when you turn these shadows down, you're losing nothing. But like, look what you're gaining through this. And they show the side by side of like ultra settings with no ray tracing, and then their custom settings with ray tracing. And it's like there's no, their settings are better. There's no judging it. It's like, oh wow, because you're like Mike says, certain shadow settings are just eating your performance when they're not doing that much for you. Not much at all.
Go look at the difference between ray trace shadows and non-ray trace shadows.
I think Chris noticed it in, I think Chris noticed it in Valhalla when we were doing those tests, and he was like, "This is like not a big thing."
From the difference
ultra to medium. When you went to low, the shadows kind of looked like too faded. But from medium to high to ultra, it was like you were adding.
Well, and they get jaggedy, so it's not
only
a perfect
on
shape.
Low, only at low.
Yeah,
at medium.
The other ones were just like 8% darker per
Right.
setting, right?
I still want to see you go back and try Valhalla again.
I'm gonna.
I bet it runs
That's a great
immensely
idea.
better.
I was gonna tell you guys, Stadia doesn't offer as many graphic enhancement changes whatsoever.
No, the games it's edited.
Yeah.
They remove a bunch of those.
Because you're not actually in control of the server running the platform,
Mm-hmm.
so you can't control the quality. You just
No.
how their settings are.
But like Nvidia,
Isn't
theirs
quality
you can.
Isn't your quality adjusted based on how good your internet is? Though?
No, you can make those changes depending on what your internet is.
There's 4 options. I don't know what they are. They're not anything like what is on what I've seen on yours. They don't have that at all. There's no anti-aliasing. There's no texture back. There's no.
No. I get that. I get that. But let's say, is that because they're setting your settings for you based on how quickly they can send you the game? So if you got
no, I don't think so. No, I think that those have been preset, and there's 2 options. There's 1080p at 60, and there's 4K at 30.
I was like I said, I didn't want to say, well, I don't care, but I was reading that the Stadia version and the PC version still weren't the same. Like they were not one for one, or are they the same? What are you getting from this?
They've actually been a little bit in the gray area on what that is. So far, what I've seen is better than console. However, not as superior as PC from a couple of
for sure.
that I've seen.
When I saw it on yours, yes, it's not the same quality.
Yeah,
it's not. Now, I think you'd get a big difference if you were doing it on your 4K TV as opposed to that monitor.
Yeah,
right.
I'm curious that's why I'm gonna run that shit tomorrow and see what happens. But I am enjoying 60 frames. I gotta say on PS4. You can't even tell there's flying cars above you. Like that's something that I wasn't aware of for 7 hours until I played it on Stadia.
Because they got to cut that draw distance all the way back.
I redid the beginning of the game and I looked up and I went, holy shit, that's different. That is not what I saw on PS4 at all, and like it to be able to see it not just directly above you, but like, 8 blocks that way going between the buildings is like, wow, that is just such a damn cool ad for them, man. It really is. I'm happy Stadia works the way that it does. Because there is no other option, for me, because you can't get your hands on next gen hardware, and PC hardware is almost impossible to touch right now.
Yeah.
So, this was
$300 was the markup I saw today. So like if a 3080 was 800, they wanted 1150 for the. And I was thinking, obviously, right? So 800 will be 850 with tax, and then I'm like, okay, so they want 1150. I'm like, dang, dude. Like, so it's just like they're not asking for an arm and a leg. They're just saying like, if you need it today, give me that 300.
I just saw a Series X for 650, which I thought was pretty nice.
I saw that today. I saw that on Facebook as well.
Yeah.
And I also saw somebody in that Facebook group that Mike's added us to sold their 2080 Ti for 900. I was like, ooh. And
Dude.
another guy was like, "Should I offer my friend 700 for his?" And they were like, "Sure, if you can't get, a good card right now." I'm like, 700 for a 2080 Ti. Like,
I'd take
that's
that deal.
right. So would I at the moment when you can't get anything else.
Actually,
Like,
no, I really want a 30 series.
So do I. So do
I want a 3080.
Yes, right. Of course you do.
Mhm.
But
How
I'm
can you
torn
possibly
now, if-
buy a 2080 Ti right now? You
Mhm.
couldn't possibly do that.
especially
that would be such
when,
a bad idea.
especially when, like I said, 1150 will get you one today, and probably around March you'll be
Yeah,
able to pick it up.
worst case in 6 months, you're getting what
That's
you're
six.
about to pay that 700 for. You could get double that in 6 months, and in the worst case scenario. I
Bro,
mean,
the TI versions are going to be out in 6 months.
so
I
what?
don't-
I'm saying that for
you know.
They
$699,
said they're
you
putting
get a
TI
3080.
versions because they weren't impressed with Big Navi. They were like, "Yeah, we don't have to release shit right now because AMD is still sucking." You
No,
know?
their processors are a hit, but and the graphics cards aren't bad. I just don't think they're as powerful as they expected.
Yeah, it's just Nvidia is holding a monopoly on powerful GPUs. Whatever they're doing in house, they seem to have gamers at the ready. You know what I mean? Like, you are our main customer, and we get that. You know, when PlayStation's mindset and Microsoft's mindset was like, are we doing games? Are we doing Blu-rays? Are we doing digital HD movies? Are we going to have a cable box connected to this thing? Like, Nvidia's got it figured out now. They're like, yeah, we as far they know, they do other things, like obviously like big military contracts and things like that, but when it comes to your gaming hardware, they woke up and they're like, oh yeah, we got you gamers, we know you guys are willing to pay the big money.
Yeah, you're right.
I completely agree. I think that that's just how it goes. So closing comments on Cyberpunk: love it, hate it, gonna play some more of it.
I gotta say, man, I rate it higher than most people are right now. I think it's but again, I gotta say on closing comments, I like we had this. There is a but. There's a lot of games, Red Dead being one of them, God of War being one, Last of Us Part 2 even recently on my base console PS4. I would be at work and be thinking about the game and be excited to get home and barely take my shoes off before I'd run in and I'd boot up the PlayStation to play these games. I am certainly not doing that with Cyberpunk, which surprises me as a gamer. The type of gamer that I am, when I get hooked on a story, I dive in deep. And I am.
You know,
hooked
I'm
on
the same
story.
way.
I'm hooked on the story. I enjoy it, but I am not thinking about this game at work. I am not thinking about this game in any capacity whatsoever other than I'm kind of bored right now. I'm going to turn on Cyberpunk. And I don't hate it. I like the game. I love the game even. But for some reason, it doesn't have its nails in me.
It's almost like
at all.
It's almost like certain games. This is a stupid analogy, but I'm going to throw it out there. It's like this game is like digging a pool with a shovel, and other games are like digging a pool with a digger. Like, you have fun while you're digging the pool with the digger, and the end result is awesome. And when you dig a pool with a shovel, the end result is awesome, but it's a lot of work to get to that. And like, that's kind of where I'm at with Cyberpunk. I'm like, man, I gotta put a lot of work in to find the real fun stuff here. Where like Assassin's Creed, I just put it on. I'm just like, where am I pillaging next? Let's go. And like I mentioned this to you earlier, Chris, and I'll mention it now to you, Mike. It's not a, I just it's there are games that are gamers games. I feel like Far Cry 5 was a gamers game. You were
Very
like
much so.
sliding and shooting and driving and right. And this game just, it feels like, I don't want to say the side quests are afterthoughts because they're not. And
Right. I can't put my finger on it. They're not afterthoughts. There's everything about it I love. I'm just not thinking about it when I'm not playing the game at all.
I'm the same way.
You know?
I don't really think about coming home and immediately playing Cyberpunk. I actually find myself ending up playing some of the games on the Xbox.
Right.
More almost more immediately. But I'm kind of in that mode right now where I like kind of sitting in my living room and playing games rather than sitting in front of my computer recently. So
Yeah.
I agree,
Could just
but
be
I
a
was even
mood.
thinking about, I've beat Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and I was still thinking about, should I put Star Wars on? Like, if it was available on EA Game Pass yesterday, I would
Hey, speaking of Star Wars, and we can't really talk about it because Chris hasn't
Do
watched
not even
it.
bring it up. I don't even want y'all.
Man,
bringing
do
it
I
up.
want to talk about it though so bad.
Yeah, we really should. I mean, it just sucks that we have
I mean,
somebody.
Did you know when you saw it fly in? Just curiosity. I'm not going to say anything. Yeah, you knew right away. Yeah, all right.
You're
Just
a
one
bastard.
X-wing. Come on, my guy.
I only knew because of a glove. That's the only thing that tipped me off.
See, the
Y'all,
problem
if
is
y'all keep talking about this, I'm signing off.
the biggest problem for Chris is that like my brother showed me today. He was showing me on his Facebook feed. Like, there's really no escaping it anymore.
I
It
haven't
was
seen anything
as-
at all. Nothing.
Oh,
Yeah,
bro, good luck.
He might be fine because he's like, is if you can get it, if you just don't.
Chris doesn't really look at stuff like that, so it's not going to
Yeah,
just automatically show up on his
Yeah,
timeline.
I agree. It will just be a random comment that he reads one day because he's not watching stuff.
You're not gonna, bro. You're not gonna be able to avoid that though. You're gonna see it before it comes,
Yeah,
before you
'Cause
watch it.
It'll be a Screen Rant or a comic book website or anything like that.
How can you not? It has such large effects on the movies and certain
Yeah.
points in them.
But
So,
there's
Come on.
that's what bro. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I told Chris. He said he's only seen up to 5, and I was like, well, that's perfect. You should
Well,
watch this
I
then
gotta
because
say, I have.
you're
seen,
in that timeline.
didn't
I-
watch 5. He's
I-
never seen Empire Strikes
No,
Back.
I got stuck on 5. That's where my Disney Plus fucked up, was on 5.
Yeah,
But
I was like, if he'd watched 5, he would have watched them all. 5's the best one.
yeah, but I've watched all of them. I just was watching them in chronological order up to 5, and
And then
5's where
what's
I
gonna
got hit.
happen in like a year is gonna be like, right, I gotta start again.
No,
From
I'm-
what? And I will be like, what?
I remember them like I like the back of my hand. I remember them. Like that's why I wanted to watch them as an adult, because even watching the prequels like 1 through 3, Solo,
Were they-
Rogue,
were they
Rogue One.
better? Was
Did you
100%. I mean, as someone who enjoys well written scripts,
politics and
to
stuff.
see what he did, I mean, it's remarkable, dude. These scripts are not just, this is not just sci-fi, right? It's political science, it's satire, it's comedy. I mean,
You're
it's
talking actual
incredible.
1 through 3, right?
Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Not 4, 5, and 6.
No,
Okay.
and 4 and Solo.
Well,
I
4,
mean,
5, and 6 are the best as well. But yeah, and
sure,
Solo's
yeah.
great.
Solo's
But
great.
I was just asking about
Oh,
one,
Solo
like,
was so good.
Empire Strikes
Mm.
Back. Episode 1's always been like a.
See,
for
I
me.
actually enjoyed the hell out of it. I didn't have a problem
And
with
in
it.
Clone
at all.
Wars makes me cringe because his acting is atrocious.
See, I
Padme,
I agree.
I love
I
you.
agree, but I
If I
agree.
wrote
But
a
story,
story,
Padme.
story element wise,
Great.
that great.
great.
I mean, what you get out of that from from a story standpoint
It's-
is fantastic.
It's an old movie at this point, so you already take it with a grain of salt for the acting chops, and you take it with a grain of salt for the graphic fidelity, and you're like, hey man, it's an old flick. It's like watching like an old Charlie
It came
Chaplin.
out the same
like,
year as The Matrix. That movie's badass. I watched it recently.
Matrix. Did it hold up? Did the Matrix actually hold up?
I watched all 3 of them. They held
I
up.
have a hard time getting through the beginning of the first Matrix again, though. The beginning is, I feel like the beginning drags just a little bit before he wakes up. I think that
I'm gonna have to
just
No,
the
it's not
beginning
that-
there.
trilogy
I
again if it
disagree
holds up.
totally. Like, as soon as
Really?
it comes out, you're running. Trinity's running. She gets on the phone. She gets away from the.
No, that scene is
he
great,
smashes-
but
yeah. Then he's on his laptop. They knock on his door. They offer him to come party with them. That's not the pill part. They offer him to come party with them.
right.
He says, "Sure, I'll come party with you." He goes and parties with them all night. They go
Right.
to a rave. He wakes up the next morning, like that night didn't happen. He's got
Right.
like an email on his computer that says
The
Morpheus.
same thing.
Morpheus is known around the dark web as this presence that's like been like upholding people, and how that plays into it is the actual Morpheus has been coming into the world and like setting up revolutions. And he goes to work, and that's when he gets the phone call from Morpheus. Morpheus is like, "Yo, Agent Smith is here for you right now," and he's like, holy shit, he's in the office, and he's like, you have to listen to me, do everything I say exactly how I say it or you'll die. He's like, no, stay there for 3 more seconds. 2, 1, now run to the door. And he's like running to the door and stuff, like, well, hide that shit's excellent.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to check that out, man. I
don't know
I'll
that I've
watch
watched the
trilogy.
first one since I
Then-
watched it in the movie theater when it
then-
came out.
then-
I don't think I
He
have
goes to
either.
this- he
Like
goes
all
to
of
this
this sounds
room
like a
to
brand new movie
Morpheus.
to me. You know, like
They go to this room to
And I
talk
was
to
so
Morpheus.
young.
Morpheus is like, come to this other room, and he takes him to this other room, and he sits him down, and they give him this pill. And when he takes the pill, he like eyes roll back, he chips out, and then obviously he wakes up in the sack, and he's like,
How do you think the new one's going to be? How do you think the new one that
so
they've got
good.
coming out? Yeah,
So
you think
good.
so?
Yeah, I think it's the Wachowski brothers who
Nah.
became the Wachowski sisters.
Yeah, yep.
They're only one of them is doing it. So one of the sisters said, I can't do it. I'm not interested. So we got one sister doing it. Here's the thing that really tickled my fancy is that they didn't have Agent Smith in number 4. He was scheduled to do a Broadway musical. He had something that was in the way of filming.
That's so funny.
Couldn't
Looking at
film.
Agent Smith, you would not imagine that
You
he
would,
was.
well, you would, well, you kind of. I totally get it, and so you're sitting there and you're thinking like, okay, he couldn't be in it. They wrote him out of it, but then Corona happened and they stopped filming Matrix, and like Broadway musicals stopped being done, and I'm like, yo, did they put him in it? Like, how you got all this time to rewrite the script? You're not filming it. He's not working anymore. Did you make a call to your boy and at least say like, yo, are you doing that musical anymore, or you want back in this? You know what I mean? Like, I hope they made that call. You know what I mean? How do you not?
What do you think, speaking of Matrix with Keanu Reeves here, what do you think his opinion is on the cyberpunk debacle that's been this long?
You don't care. He got his money.
You don't think he gives a shit?
No.
I don't think he plays the games like Henry Cavill plays The Witcher. I don't think it was not a check. He's not that guy.
You saw Henry Cavill got a 3090, right?
90, yeah. He's
Son of a
not.
bitch.
He's not that guy that's just going to take a check. I believe he is this guy that.
That's what I mean. I think he
enjoyed-
genuinely cares
He
about the
enjoyed
flop.
the role, but I don't think he cares about whatever. Because no one's talking shit about Johnny Silverhand. They love him. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, I'm not attached to this. I don't give you refunds. I don't. This wasn't anything to do with me. I'm just a character in a movie.
Yeah, but
See you
had
later.
this been successful, this could have been like a seriously well-placed career move for him.
He's
And-
already done his biggest well-placed career move was doing the John Wick movies and then being as fundamental as they are. Like, he did The Matrix and he was fundamental. Then he went away and now he is now arguably hotter than he was then. His flame is burning hotter now than it did when he did the Matrix fucking movies. And now he's getting ready for 4 off of Cyberpunk. Like, this guy is fucking on fire. On fire. The world loves Keanu Reeves.
He's
My mom
arguably
thinks he's awesome.
he's arguably the greatest celebrity.
Him and The Rock. The Rock,
yeah.
and Kevin Hart. Those are
So-
like the 3 guys that like
So-
nobody can
Can
touch.
I
him.
say some shit? And I don't want to say shit, but I gotta say some shit because I fucking love him. But I gotta give him some shit. Did you guys watch his No Fucks Given Kevin
No,
Hart's?
I didn't.
Okay.
No, not yet.
While
No.
it was, I
feel like
love
that's
how it started. It's incredible.
Baby, baby, give me a kiss. I don't know
it's-
if that was actually his house.
It
I'd love
is.
to
It's
know.
at his house. Yeah.
I
it-
know.
yeah.
I just didn't know if there was a cut as he comes.
Oh,
down the
like
stairs.
he definitely. But I mean,
Yeah.
I think the way it's. I mean, you're right. It could
His
have
house is
easily been.
humongous.
Well, it's the
like-
whole thing, Mike, is he's at his house kissing his kids goodnight, goes downstairs, and the whole show is an intimate show of like family and friends
his
in his basement, and he's giving this comedy special at his house, and but his special, I know it's called No Fucks Given, right? And I get the premise,
weak?
and
Sorry,
not
a lot
weak.
of
It was
fucks
funny. But he comes across as an inconsiderate piece of shit, and I hate that because
like Ellen DeGeneres.
it's as if Ellen DeGeneres came out and said, "Fuck you, I don't give a fuck what you think," and it'd be like, you know, like
Speaking
what?
of the Tom Cruise rant,
Yeah,
yo, fucking.
but I mean,
everybody-
that's someone who you
they're
expect
starting
that.
to think. They're starting to think
You
that was even scripted now. How when he loses cool, he's like, you know what? I can't sleep at night. College education is on my mind. Directing, producing, being a star of a movie. He was like, he had it all written down.
Bro, that guy's an absolute insane nut job. Incredible actor. The guy's cracked. Okay, so like I don't expect that. I expect that out of Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
He's a great actor. Give the man where he's got it. He's cracked upstairs completely. But
They
but-
said it was his team that even leaked it. Like they were just like, "This is hot. This is hot. This will be the thing that gets you like."
Like this team was like,
respect in the
y'all gotta
industry."
understand what this dude does on a regular basis. He's cracked. But Kevin Hart, I saw as The Rock, like Mike, you just said, The Rock, Kevin Hart, Keanu Reeves. These guys are quintessential. Like you just see them as these like real, genuine dudes, and Man, his special did him no favors in that regard, in my opinion. Hilarious special, great job. Still love Kevin Hart, huge fan.
Yeah, I don't think that. I never think for a second that Kevin's not enjoying his wealth. I
It's
don't
not
think
about
for
the
a
wealth.
second
It's
that
about his attitude.
he's not-
He's like losing it. Like his ego has gotten to him, and he's like he feels like people are trying to take things from him, and he just feels like he needs to be.
Of course, yeah.
You can tell
where-
he's losing it.
He's right where he's gone past where Dave Chappelle went to Africa.
Right,
Does that
right,
make
exactly,
sense?
without going to
Dave's like,
Africa.
I ain't-
He didn't leave. He's doing
Right.
it in front of our eyes.
He's doing it in front of our eyes at his house, like
no,
losing
I'm
his
not
shit.
saying- I'm not
you know?
saying that. Dave went to Africa, so he didn't become this.
Right.
I'm saying he's become what Dave didn't want to be.
Right,
He's
exactly.
like, I am not going to be losing my mind on stage, being told what to say,
Right.
making sure that, I mean, you have to imagine that Kevin Hart is cookie cutter now. Like, you cannot go too far outside. You can't do the things that Chappelle's been known for.
Mhm.
And
Well,
now,
he definitely
as Kevin
pushes.
Hart,
He pushes those buttons in this special where he's just like, "Fuck y'all," you know. And that's where I think his PR guy was probably like, "You can't do that." And he was like, "I don't give a fuck.
Fuck off."
I'm calling it no fucks given and doing it in my house in my pajamas, and I'm gonna film it
saw
and show
how,
everybody."
Speaking of comedians, you saw how Dave Chappelle didn't want you guys to watch Chappelle's show on Netflix. He said that it was taking money out of his pocket because he never got paid a $120 million deal. So Netflix pulled the show from Netflix and was
Yeah.
like, hey, you don't want people to watch it, we won't even air it. They
Yeah.
paid for that show. And they were like, screw it, whatever. Like, that is some serious collaboration between your artist and your
Fan
and
base.
what that does for, well, yeah, and they arguably they talk about how Netflix is the comedian's best friend. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely. When all comedians agree on it, that they are. Yep, it is it's a win for them to be able to put out so much content on there.
Yeah.
a lot of comedians also said they started putting their best shit in the first 15 minutes on Netflix and their worst shit towards the end because people who watch Netflix have a tendency to fall asleep. And they said that I can't
turn it off.
Yeah, they said if I can get my best shit out in the first 20 minutes, maybe people will keep watching. But most people, I'll be like, you saw my special? And they're like, yeah, I saw the first 20 minutes and I fell asleep. Because they're like, that's what people do when they
That's
watch
smart.
these specials. And I just love that they're tackling it this new way now. They're like, yo, I'm going to come out with my heavy hitting shit from the start. And if you love it, maybe you stick around a little bit longer. I love that. You know what I mean? So to tie back to Keanu Reeves, I don't think he cares about Cyberpunk. I think he cares about the work he did. I think he loves the character he created. I think he enjoyed the character, but no more than somebody who cares about, like Daisy Ridley. Some people don't like how her character was portrayed in Star Wars. Does that affect her? Does she lose sleep at night? No, she enjoyed it, and lots of people enjoyed it the way that many people enjoy him in Cyberpunk and everything else he does.
And he's good. He's good
To
in
these
it.
people, they're just roles. They're just roles. They're just. He's like, I didn't make the game. I barely even played the game. I'm just in the game, and that's all. I
Yeah,
have
when
to
a
say.
movie gets a bad rap because the acting was bad, a lot of actors are like, look at my producer.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
if the
like,
acting
look
was
at the
bad,
script.
then it
Look at
kind of
the.
falls on the actors a little bit if the acting's
It
bad.
does,
Like you said,
it
If it's
does.
the script, if it's the shitty camera angles, if it's the poor
But
CGI,
you can't elevate a shitty script past that shitty script. It's
get it,
really
yeah.
hard to do it.
yeah.
right?
And if you've got shitty CGI, like, bro, if we want to switch before we end this, if we want to just switch it up to a little TV talk, I'm almost done with Lemony Snicket's series Unfortunate Events. They have some CGI of some lions in the end of season 2. So good for a TV show. Like Netflix, must not have a budget. They must just have the biggest.
No,
budget
I
because-
say the same thing about that show, The Expanse, which is now on Amazon. It used to be on Sci-Fi Channel, I believe, and it
My
has
brother loves that show.
absolutely incredible CGI, and I'm like, what? Like the budget has to be enormous for this stuff. I said the same thing about Mandalorian. Like, look at some of the shit
Well,
they
their
put in
budget
this.
is
It's
massive.
dude, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's-
So-
If I
Chris.
remember, The Mandalorian has a bigger budget than Game of Thrones. Isn't that right? Mandalorian, each episode cost more than a Game of
I
Thrones
think-
episode?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
the-
you're right. And I
Also,
and I-
that new technology that we saw that they are putting, my brother shared it. I think one of us shared it. They're putting actors in a studio that is a sphere, and the sphere has LED panels that are curved all in the sphere. And
Yeah,
the
they're using Unreal Engine to make the backgrounds and stuff.
Yeah, and the actor
Yeah.
stands in the middle of the sphere, and the sphere moves while they walk on the spot. And they have areas where they can. It's big too, like the size of my room, so I can do stuff like this. And while I'm walking around, all around me is moving, like I'm on Tatooine. And like I'll share the clip to your Facebook later. And this is this new technology. They're like, we don't let the actors run in here because they will end up forgetting where they are and they'll run into the panels because it's that immersive. No
So
more
the
green
actors
screens.
the actors actually physically
The actors
see
can
the
now
panel.
physically see where they are when they're acting.
Wow, that's amazing.
I'm like,
That's
oh, this is
incredible.
getting very cool, dude.
yeah, send that to me,
Very
bro. I
cool.
want to see that for sure. That's cool as
I
hell.
definitely will. So guys, this has been episode 16. We've talked a whole bunch about Cyberpunk 2077. I really hope you guys have enjoyed it. Go ahead and check it out. Not necessarily on the PlayStation 4 or base Xbox. Check it out on your Series X, your PlayStation 5, whenever you get a chance to grab them. Stadia is probably the easiest way you can jump into this right now. If the deal's still live, you were able to buy the game
It's
and
not.
also receive. It's not live anymore. Chris, do you know if you're getting your
not.
console?
No,
they said
so-
no.
They sold out before I got mine. Yeah, gone.
Seems strange.
It was while supplies
Um,
lasted, and they did
that
not
makes sense.
last.
That makes sense. They probably had 10 left.
yeah.
Paper launch.
Paper
Yeah.
launch.
So many of them this year. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Tune in next week when we have our thoughts about Christmas. Woo!
Yeah.
See you later.